All right, so we are live. We will be anticipating a lag time of about 10 seconds. So, hello and welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining Protect Academy's LinkedIn and YouTube live session. We will be commencing in just 30 seconds. We're waiting for the session to go live on both the platforms and more people to join. So, till then, you know the drill. Put in your earphones if you're driving, get some snacks, and we will be commencing shortly. All right, so we are live and kicking. All right, so once again, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending on your time zone. Extending a really, really warm welcome to Protect Academy's LinkedIn Live and YouTube Live session on the topic of the CISA certification. So I'm sure that you're here and you already know that CISA is regarded as one of the most prestigious certifications in the field of IT audit, governance, risk, and compliance. And it is trusted by organizations all around the world to identify professionals who can audit, secure, and govern critical information systems. So in today's session, we have none other than Mr. Saz Rai himself. He's the leading expert on CISA, CISM, Security Plus, CISSP, you know, you name it, and he is the go-to guy for all of those certifications and expert advice. So he'll be helping you understand why CISA continues to be such a powerful credential for your future growth and how you can successfully prepare for the exam. Additionally, we're going to be taking in questions in this session. Any doubts, any queries you have, let us know your timeline for taking the exam and utilize this opportunity because you have the Mr. Sazrai here in this session. Ask him all your questions and he'd be happy to answer all of those for you. So, without further ado, Mr. Sazrai, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you so much. I hope my screen is visible. All right.
Yes, sir. Yes, seems visible.
Thank you so much. Okay. So, welcome everyone, and this webinar. This is the uh, thrill to have you here for this hour. So, whether you're in IT, audit, risk management, or compliance, understanding the value of CISA can be a career game changer. So today we'll explore the CISA certification, what it is, why IT auditing has become critical for organizations, and how this certification can help advance your career. So my name is Saj Rai. I have over 2.5 decades of experience. I've been teaching for over a decade now, and I'm an authorized instructor for most cybersecurity courses, including CISA. To set the context, and to understand the importance of CISA, we first need to understand how the enterprise risk landscape is evolving. Right. So today, organizations are evolving and operating in highly complex digital environments, and there's a lot of increasing regulatory complexity that's increasing. For example, the AI regulations or data privacy, and most countries are now adopting these. Um, and so, second, digital ecosystems are expanding. Companies rely on cloud platforms, third party vendors, APIs, integrated systems, AIs, and so on. So, because of these factors, boards and executives now demand integrated assurance. Okay, that's a key word I want you to understand. Integrated assurance that technology risks are being properly managed. So, this is where CISA comes in, Certified Information Systems Auditor. And yeah, this CISA, it's been around for a while now, almost 50 years now, almost. This is a global certification from ISACA. Okay, and it's there are more than well, thousands of people who are certified. It covers audit, how organizations audit, control, and govern their information systems. And these are the domains that we have to go through. These are the five major domains, also known as the job practice area. First domain is information systems auditing process, which focuses on how audits are planned and executed and reported. So here we understand a lot of foundational auditing principles. Then there is second domain is governance and management of IT, which looks at how organizations structure and manage their IT functions. The third domain covers information systems acquisition, development, and implementation, focusing on auditing system development and project management processes. This is one of the smallest domain in this, you can say 12%, right? So many of us thinks that the auditors come in, uh, for example, if there's a system being developed, the auditors come in afterwards, after the system has been developed, and audit the system. But that's not the case, right? The auditor uh, has to be auditing the system and the STLC right throughout from the beginning, and being involved till the end of the STLC process. The fourth domain is information systems operations and business resilience, which includes operational controls, including incident management and business continuity. And the final domain, which is the protection of information assets. So, assets which focuses on security controls and protecting your organizational data. So, it's a slightly technical domain. And so, this domains, five domains together provide a comprehensive view of how information systems should be governed and audited, right? And I use the word information systems and not information technology, and there's a reason why. Um, okay, and the reason why is that, and I'll probably just make a note here. So, information system is uh, the technology part, which is the hardware and the software, right? It's also the people and the processes. Okay, so you're not an IT auditor, but an information system auditor. And that's a very key difference here. So we're not just looking at technology, but also looking at people and processes, and maybe other areas such as physical security and so on. Right. So that's something that I want you to keep in mind. Right. Um, yeah. So these are some of the um, typical roles and that CISA uh, will offer. So many professionals who earn this certification move into these roles. It could be an IT auditor, risk and compliance analyst, um, governance specialist, or information security manager, right? Um, so many organizations, especially Banks, consulting firms, multinational corporations require a strongly or they strongly prefer someone with a CISA certification, right? And and so a basic principle that I want you to understand is that audit is an assurance function. Okay, let me repeat again. A fundamental concept in auditing is that its audit is an assurance function. So you are, as an auditor, you, so you are verifying that the risks are properly identified and managed. As an auditor, you're also assessing whether the controls, internal controls, are designed appropriately and operating effectively. Auditors also review whether policies and procedures are being followed and whether technology systems supported the organization's objectives, right? So, what an important principle to remember is that it's the management who owns the risk. So, auditors, they do not manage or own the risk. So, as I mentioned, it's an assurance function. So, they provide assurances that risks are being managed properly, that the organization is in the right direction, and so on. Right now, in my experience, been teaching Caesar for a long time now, I come across typically three different professional backgrounds who are and each group faced very different challenges. The first group is usually the financial auditors, such as CA or CPA professionals. Now, they're usually very strong in the audit methodologies, the audit principles, but they have very limited exposures to technical IT concepts. So I find them more stronger in the earlier domains, especially domain one and some bit of domain two, but they might struggle a bit more in domain five, where it's very technical. Then the next group are generally the IT auditors. Now, they are the ones who already understand the domain, but they need to adapt to an ISAGA exam approach and scenario based questions. And most people who actually join up, in my experience, are people who are, well, they're neither auditors, but they come from a IT and cybersecurity professional and they want to have a career change. And so they understand technology very well, but often they need to develop an auditor's mindset. So which focuses more on the controls and governance than the technical implementation. And this is a very important thing, that the that auditor's mindset. And that's how the exam is designed to test your knowledge. It's not about the right thing to do, okay? It's not usually the right thing to do, but the best option for you to do. Even in the exam, where there's a scenario and you have four options, and many times, and in fact, 90% of the questions, you'll have more than one correct answer, and sometimes all the four options are correct. Okay, so you're not looking for the correct answer, and you will have to focus on the best answer. And that's what the mindset is about, in the sense, what would you do next? So the question will say, what would you do next? If there's a scenario, what's the next thing for you to do? Okay, so what would you prioritize? And that is important, and that's how you need to I mean, and during the course when you're learning about it, that's what you're gonna have to learn, to focus on the those controls, the governance, rather than the technical implementation. All right. And so the way I look at auditors, in summary, as I mentioned, that, well, they're an assurance function. That's the first thing. Or I can also look at them as I consider them as more of the eyes and ears for the board and the senior management. Okay, so they play a very important role in the organization governance, as you can see here. So they provide that independent visibility into how the organization risks are being managed, right? So the audits can help you identify the weaknesses in the controls to assess whether you're compliant with policies and regulations and highlight areas that require improvement. All right. So, because of this independent perspective, auditors help the leadership make better risk based decisions. So, let me share a simple real world example. Imagine a financial organization preparing for a regulatory audit. Now, this has been inspired by one of my own personal experience in one of the financial firm. So, during a internal review, the a CISA certified professional they discovered weaknesses in the change management process. And especially, system changes were being implemented without proper approvals and documentation. So, this could potentially lead to data integrity issues or compliance violations. So, by identifying the issue early and recommending stronger change control procedures, the auditor helped the organization avoid regulatory penalties and operational risk. So, a simple example of how uh, effective ID audit can add value to the organization. Well, there's a huge demand for CISA professionals, and it continues to grow as organizations adopt new technologies. We are seeing increasing demand in areas such as cloud governance, AI governance, and digital risk management. And organizations are adopting frameworks such as COBIT and NIST for their governance programs. So CISA professionals are increasingly moving into those cross-functional leadership roles, helping organizations align technology with business objectives while managing the risk. So, in other words, CISA professionals are not just auditors, they are becoming strategic advisors on technology risk. Okay. Now, you don't even have to be an auditor to take a CISA exam. And if you take my own personal experience, I am not a auditor, but I work very closely with auditors. And one of the primary reason why I took the CISA was to understand from the auditor's point of view, and it helped me become more compliant. It helped me be more ready to face auditors when we have those compliance audits, right? Because the principles are the same. Once you understand how the auditors are going to audit your systems, you are better prepared to meet them and meet the requirements. So that's another perspective. But yeah, if you are again planning to take the exam, preparing to become a CISA, you need to have those 5 years of experience. Um, so there are waivers for up to 2 years, which means you need 3 years of experience. Okay, but it's important to note that you can take the exam before completing the experience requirements, and once you gain that experience, you can apply for the certification. So you can pass the exam, but after you provide the your experience, then you only then you can become a CISA. The exam is for 4 hours long and contains 150 multiple choice questions, and it's the same format. There are four options, four items, and only one of them is correct answer. Rather, the best answer. Like I said, many times all the options are correct. Right? You got to select the best answer or choose the most appropriate response. The exam focuses heavily on those risk management, control evaluation, and the governance concepts. Yeah, so it's important to have that time management because you got to answer 150 questions within 240 minutes. I think approximately maybe 90 seconds per question, right? The the CISA exam uses a scaled scoring system In fact, most ISACA courses uses that, and the scores range from a minimum 200 to a maximum 800. And you need to score a minimum of 450 or above to pass the exam. Okay, so you need to understand that this score does not directly represent a percentage. It's not like 450 out of 800, which is like a 56% passing mark. That's not that. It reflects, it's a very interesting way of calculating. They do not actually reveal how they calculate these things, but it reflects your performance relative to the exam difficulty. And if you there is no real world scoring system that you can use to measure your performance, but my experience says that if you are consistently scoring about 80% in your test, or 70% would be a little dicey, but 80%, then you're ready to take the exam. Okay, so 7 to 80%, that's what you should aim for when you're practicing for in your tests. Right. So exam fees, well, it's expensive. It depends on whether you are an ISACA member, if you are, which I highly recommend, it comes to about $575. The membership fee, it is almost about 140, $150, and even if you add that, it's lesser than the non-member fee. Okay, and I highly recommend to becoming an ISACA members because it provides access to other learning resources. There are professional communities, and you can see there's a reduced exam fees, and also many other resources are at a discounted rate. So highly recommended. Okay. All right. There are a couple of slides more I want to talk about, and this is interesting. So why many candidates fail the CISA exam? And this is interesting because I keep getting calls, and unfortunately, many of them um, have experienced a failure, and so they talk to me saying, I took this training, I did these hundreds of questions and practices, but I still failed the exam. And um, and and so I asked them one basic question. I asked them to maybe explain to me one basic concept, like, can you help me understand, let's say, the difference between, let's say, risk and incident? Or can you help me understand the difference between business continuity and disaster recovery? And and I usually understand that they do lack these understanding of these concepts. Okay, and and so most of them have been memorizing definitions, trying to mug up those practice questions, hoping that these questions appear in the exam. The answer is it's not going to appear. Okay, so you really have to understand the concept, the principles. I call them the thumb rules, and only if you understand those principles, you're gonna pass the exam. There's no shortcut. There are no dumps. Okay. Yeah. So understand the concepts. That's the first thing. Second is mistake people make is choosing technical answers instead of audit focused answers. And as I explained earlier today, so many people come to CISA, want to become a CISA, coming from a very technical background, and they start thinking very technically, prioritizing technical solutions, right? And that's something that we should avoid. And that mindset that I talked about, that's what you need to learn. And next is, um, so so many candidates, they do not practice enough full length mock exams. I highly recommend that. um, and two things again. One is that it'll help you for that time management. Okay, so you need to be able to answer like a 150 question in 4 hours. It's usually doable, but what happens is that I find people not being able to manage time, and maybe spending of 5 minutes on a particular question, and then you do not have time for the rest of the questions. Right? So you need to have that practice, and also you will also get the sense of the the kind of questions that the exam will ask. Not the same question, but the kind of questions. Right? So it'll help you understand. Like I said, if you consistently start scoring about 80%, then you know that you're doing well and that you are almost there to take the exam. Well, neglecting lower weighted domains that still appear on the exam. As I mentioned, there are at least 5 domains, and never in my career so far have I come across anybody who has experience in all the 5 domains, right? And so people will have their own strengths, their own weaknesses. Um, so they might prefer a particular domain, more technical heavy domain, versus less technical process oriented domain, and so on. And there is, and not all domains are the same weightage also, especially domain 3 just 12%, and some people try to just neglect that and saying, oh, it's not that important, and unfortunately that's a mistake, right? And yeah, so have a proper structured plan, and like I said, um, understand those principles, uh, have a plan for yourself. For simple example could be like, if you have uh, 5 domains. There are 5 domains, and if you spend 1 week per domain, that means about a month and a half or a quarter. You should be completed with all the domains, at least one study. Then you might want to do another study, which might be much more quicker. So in the next 2 to 3 months, you should be able to plan and take the exam, right? So I highly recommend about 3 months of studying. Again, this is a very generic recommendation. It might depend on how well you're doing, but the key point here is that you have to study regularly and every day if possible, a couple of hours if possible. Okay, CISA is one of the more difficult exam to pass, and compared to courses like Season or say Risk and so on, CISA is very very difficult. Um, I would say it's as difficult as CISSP, right? There's a lot of depth in CISA. The questions are quite tricky, and so it needs that kind of dedication and the hard work. And if you don't think you're able to put that effort, I don't recommend you taking the CISA. Okay, so you have to put in that study and hard work every day. Right. So then, how are you going to do about it? Let's talk about it. So use the official review manual as the primary reference. Um, Study by domain. So it's the every domain. There's a flow to it. There's a So you start with domain 1 and end up with domain 5. Understand all the domain, and then go over it over and over again. Iteration study, like iterative study, will help you. So understand the concepts rather than memorizing them, as I mentioned before, right? Practice a large number of questions. Now, this is important to understand that do not use these questions to study, right? So that's why many people fail. Do not use this to study. Use it to first study from the book, and then once you completed a particular topic or a particular domain, then you can go back and study and sorry, to take those practice questions and see if you're scoring around 80%. Like I said, if you're not, time to go back and study again. Okay. And while you're studying for these and these practice tests, don't just focus on the correct answer. Uh, Focus on the other options why it was incorrect. All right. So that principle could be asked in another question. In Okay, so understand the why. Focus on not just what is the correct answer, but understand Why is this correct? Why the other options are incorrect? Told you before. So take that simulated 4 hours exam. If you haven't taken these exams before, time management is very important. Okay, to be able to do these, take this test under pressure. Yeah, so you want to be able to take that 4 hours test. Join an instructor-led program. That's where we come. I think there's a program being designed, being designed, so you can always join our next batch. Okay, so these are the materials that I would highly recommend that you use: the official review manual, and there's these question and answers with explanations. And the exam candidate guide will give you all the details about how to go about registering for the exam, and all those details are there. Okay? So use these resources together, okay, to build both knowledge and exam confidence. Right. So to conclude, well, CISA certification is one of the most respected credentials for professionals working in IT audit, governance, and risk management. Right. So, so if you are interested in advancing your career in this space, well, CISA can be a powerful step, right? And yeah, so thank you for joining this session. I'd be now be very happy to take your questions.
Thank you so much, sir, for taking a very illuminating session. Let's wait for another minute or so. In case there are any questions, the floor is open, guys. Please feel free to type your questions or thoughts or queries in the comment section, and Mr. Rai will be answering all of them. Additionally, we have shared the number on the screen. Mr. Rai is starting with his new live training batch for the CISA certification examination, and it starts from the 14th of March. These are weekend sessions, and to learn more about it, please feel free to reach out to us. All right, so I'm quickly scanning LinkedIn and YouTube both for any questions that may have come up. And in case not, you can still drop your questions in the comment sections, and I will do my best to connect you with Mr. Sajrai and probably get those answers and revert back to you at the earliest. All right, sir. So I do not see any questions as of right now, so they can drop it later as well. And I would like to free you for the cricket match and everybody else who stayed with us throughout. Oh, wow, there is a question from LinkedIn. Uh, a LinkedIn user is asking, is CIA or is CIA high level or CISA?
Mm, CIA. Okay. Uh, this is the certified internal auditor, right? If you're talking about that. Um, so it depends on your requirement, but CISA has been around for almost 50 years, and CISA is I would say, the most widely recognized certificate for auditors around the world. I think CIA is more from, I guess, um, it's more focused on the internal auditor. Which auditor doesn't always have to be internal. It could be an external auditor also. Uh, yeah, but CISA, I think it's more recognized compared to CIA.
All right, sir. There is another question. Mamta is writing from LinkedIn.
Mhm.
What are other options available as this was established in 1978?
What are the other options from ICIRCA? Is that the question? Then, um,
working generally as well in the field of audit. So although
Yes.
CISA keeps updating every
Yeah.
few years, they keep
Yeah.
changing their content.
Yes. So CISA has, yeah, that's correct. So CISA or the ISACA, they do update their content every year, every couple of years. I think 4 years on an average, 4 to 5 years.
Hmm. Right, sir.
And so they do. So they do have other courses, including CISM and CIRISC and CGIT. Apart from that, if you want to go for a specific auditor course, there are, I guess, lead auditor courses for ISOs and so on that you can probably consider. There is a difference, however, is CISA is not about how. It's not about, I'm not here to teach you how to audit. Okay, that's not a how to course. And this is more about the what do you need to do, and more importantly, the why. Teaching you that auditor's mindset, the concept that you need to know as an auditor. And there are many other courses like you can supplement an audit CISA like a lead auditor's courses if you are, yeah, if you are interested in a particular standard or so. Um, I hope that answers the question. If not, you can have a follow-up question.
Hmm. Right, sir. All right. So Femi is asking from LinkedIn. He's
Mhm.
asking, does Protect help us with CISA certification after we pass the CISA exam? So is there like an endorsement process for CISA like there is for CISSP?
Yes, yes. There's an endorsement process. I'll be happy to endorse you, but
Mhm.
it's a very simple process. It's a very simple process. Anybody, your colleague, your boss, anybody can uh, endorse. Endorsement is just about somebody saying, yes, this person has that 5 years of experience. So it's a very simple process. We'd be happy to endorse when you pass the exam.
Right. Superb. Then we have another question from LinkedIn. Riyaj is asking, I am CISSP certified and interested in audit domain. Is it advisable to go directly to CISA or first ISO, some standard LA, and then CISA?
Yeah. Both are complementary. So CISSP to CISA is a very interesting move, and it certainly aligns lots of things you have understood in CSSP will be very broader. CSSP is a very lot of things you need to understand and learn, but the depth is missing. CISA gives you the depth, the detail, the content number, the content is less, but there's a lot more depth in it. So it kind of complements that. So it's a good move to go to CISA, and and so if should you go for an ISO lead auditor? Certainly yes, if that is something that aligns to you, because it's very specific standard, right? Yes, ISO 27001 or whatever lead auditor you want to be. So um, so both are important. The CISA is more about the what and the why, and that ISO lead auditor will give you more about the how to go about doing it. So they kind of complement each other. So you might want to consider becoming a CISA along with that, the ISO lead auditor, which is relatively easy. Okay, CISA is a little more difficult compared to the ISO lead auditor. CISA is a more broader course, give you covers a wide range of things, and you should consider both.
Great, sir. Perfect answer. All right. So I'm flashing the numbers on the screen again in case anybody would like to get in touch and get started with Mr. Sazrai's upcoming CISA certification training. Again, these are going to be live sessions, and Mr. Sazrai will be holding your hand till the day you're certified. So please feel free to reach out. He will definitely help you in making the journey a little bit easier. All right, sir. I do not see any further questions. So I think this is a good time to wrap up.
So thank you
Thank you
very
so much.
much. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Here.
Thanks so much, sir, for joining. And thank you, everybody, for asking your questions and joining us for the session today. And we will see you in the next one.